have everybody here who's going to be here. Call the meeting to order and ask the clerk to call the roll.
Commissioner Miller,
Here.
Commissioner Schneider,
Here.
Commissioner Zender,
Here.
Commissioner Jarvis, here, Commissioner Henry.
Here. We always have an opening prayer, and I'll ask Commissioner Miller to do that, and then move on to Commissioner Zender to do the pledge.
Dear Heavenly Father, I would like to thank you for bringing us all here today and to keep people in the county safe. And I'd like to ask for your wisdom and your knowledge and understanding, and ask that you help us in doing the work of the county and performing the duties that we are elected to for our citizens. And I ask that in your name, amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, moving on. Agenda. I think we have one small item to add.
Yeah, we already, Chairman, we already have one personnel motion. We got personnel committee on the agenda. It's just a second motion that's on the dais.
Are there some copies back there?
I
Or you're
know
gonna,
the
you're
administration
gonna read?
got that.
Saw that.
I'll move the agenda.
Just double check, administration doesn't have anything additional.
No, just an announcement, nothing for the agenda, but just an announcement.
Okay. Make sure we don't forget to give you time during our report. Okay, all those in favor of the agenda as slightly amended?
I
Opposed? No. Okay, moving on, we have the minutes for March 24th regular board meeting. A motion? Any discussion, correction?
I was just proud of you. You remembered it. Good job.
Thank you. If there is none, then all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those, no. Moving on, we have our mileage sheets, expense sheets, grant applications that may be traveling around. If we have any. Are there some? Okay, they're coming. If you see anything that needs to be raised in the meeting, please do so. Time now for our departments. Any of our departments that would like to give a report, we will give you this time. I see one.
Good morning, Commissioners. I just wanted to let you know that SAMHSA, the Substance Abuse Mental Health Administration, has released the CCBHC grants for FY '23. The grants are due May 17th. We're in the process of preparing our grant. They've changed the grants. It used to be $2 million a year for 2 years. The change this year, it's $1 million a year for 4 years. So they're, what they found is that many agencies were asking for extensions, I guess, throughout the grant processes since those grants started in 2016. So they've increased the length, but reduced the annual allocation. But that fits well within the plans that we were making. So we're feverishly preparing that grant and plan to submit it on May 17th. We anticipate being awarded the grant sometime in August.
And remind me what the purpose of those grants are.
Certified Community Behavioral Health Center. It will allow us to enhance our integrated care strategies with our current populations It will also allow us to open up services to more individuals that have mild to moderate mental health issues, which is a population we currently can't serve because of funding restrictions. And it also opens up some funding opportunities to serve veterans in some unique ways, and then also would free up some funding to help pay for some of the current jail services we have, and potentially expand those types of services.
When do you hear of the grant, when you are selected?
We hear the submissions are due in May 17th, and then the awards are announced in late August, early September.
Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other county departments that would like to make a point? Okay, seeing none, then it's time for the public. Any of the members of the public that would like to make comments, we invite you forward. Always invite you to give your name if you'd like to.
Hi, Christy again. I'm from Advisacare. Just to reiterate, we are going around and working with Board of Commissioners to adopt a resolution for the auto no fault. We are just requesting that we get put on your agenda so that we could come get a presentation and hopefully have some dialogue to be able to answer some questions. We are for the reform that was happening. That is a big misconception with people. We just think that home care agencies were, annihilated in the wake without, it wasn't meant to happen. So we are getting down to being one of the very last home care agencies. Just in the last couple weeks, there have been others that have closed their doors and had to discharge patients. The patients do have to have people come into their home to care for them to be able to survive in many cases. So we just asked to be put on your agenda so that we can come answer some questions, bring some sample copies of the resolutions that about 14 to 15 other counties have adopted now. Thank you.
Other members of the public that would like to comment?
Morning.
Good morning.
Alan Pierce, Hadley Township. California was and still continues to be one of the most regressive states in the U.S. when it comes to COVID-related restrictions. Coming down especially hard on churches still. While bars and superstores and other establishment venues were permitted to open up, churches and other places of worship were still being shut down, and their congregants required to mask up or be vaccinated. The Pacific Justice Institute took on that case, and the governors, their lingo was the governors cannot treat churches differently than other essential entities and organizations. And they urged that if they're going to allow a hardware store or a marijuana dispensary or a liquor store to open up, they better also allow a church to open up. Being a law firm focused on defending religious freedom, PJI, which is that institute, did what it knows best to do. It went to court. And they had to first seek an emergency writ from the United States Supreme Court in order to get the governor of California and the county of Santa Clara specifically to allow churches to reopen. After liquor stores and pot shops and department stores were allowed to open, these churches were still closed. None other than the U.S. Supreme Court eventually weighed in about a year ago and agreed with PJI, and last week those churches were allowed to reopen. They also are probably going to get six-figure dollars from the taxpayers of California because of this lawsuit. The money means nothing to the parishioners and to the people in charge of those churches. But that's the unfortunate part of some of this fallout that we're seeing now. And I still wanna, they're still talking about, there might be a resurgence, there might be other things. We don't wanna be in that kind of situation. Our churches here locally were told that they really shouldn't open also. And I know my church was one of them, and my church was one of the ones that went to the outdoor, you drive up, and you're on the car speaker, and you're still seeing, and congregating, so to speak. We tried everything we could in our church to stay open. I just wanna keep that in everybody's forefront as things move on. Thank you.
Thank you. Other comments from the public?
I hate following something like that with disinformation, but, thank God that, even though churches, the doors were closed, the hearts of Christians around myself, where I drew my strength these last couple of years, their hearts were still open. So, information, the, special land use in Marathon Township that has been going on since January. We did get notification that the meeting for the second hearing is next Thursday night. And it is at the Countyville Community Center. And my husband and I continue to write letters to our planning commission members and share information that we have. I know that there are many different people that need to be involved in this, the road commission, I know that the police department, the sheriff's department, someone has notified them, I think, to ask, what their thoughts are on it. The fire department, the DNR, I think, it's just, there's so many facets to this. And my husband and I had found a map that actually showed, because this is his big, this is we took our farm from being a commodity farm, not by us, but rented out, to we are organic now. We don't use any chemicals on our land. And our big thing is the environment and to grow good food. And so the state land that is south of us to the state land that is north of us, this land is literally a corridor between the two. That's the wildlife goes through that. And so for that not to be important to people in our township and in our county, this state land isn't just in my township, it's in the township south of us. And it's just, state land goes forever. But anyway, that meeting is next Thursday night at the Countyville Community Center. And again, it's a corporation coming in. Some people in our community are like, oh, this would be great, it's a campground. It's not a campground. They're bringing in little tiny houses and people are renting them and they're changing their linens. It's a motel with 45 little, it's not a campground. You're not invited. You're not invited to camp there. You're going to rent this little tiny home. And it's not even for us. It's for people that don't live in our community. They're coming up from, quote, the south. And so anyway, it's really important to us that everyone is given all the information they can. Thank you.
Thank you. Other members of the community? Seeing none right now, there is a second time, as most of the people here know. If not, you're welcome at the second time if you think of something. We'll move on then to the agenda, which is fairly short. First would be a notice of appointments needed. And do we have any progress on any of those appointments?
The treasurer's office has been in contact and we have two applications. I only have one in hand. I requested the other one. Dennis will be replacing Christopher with Charlotte Bath. And that's the application I do not have yet. It's in-house, I just don't have it.
How would the board like to approach that? We typically act when we haven't seen an application. We have one application to, in effect, reappoint Denise Solinsky. Your pleasure to reappoint her?
I definitely would, yes.
Support. Okay, motion and support. Any discussion to appoint Denise Solinsky? You seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Okay, if we've got then the likelihood of a replacement we haven't seen, should we wait on that until we have it? I see people
Doreen
shaking.
has it, she hasn't scanned it to me yet.
But we can still do that in a committee hall meeting next week.
Let's do that directed to committee hall. I think it's a good thing since we haven't really seen this yet, this person yet. Okay, then, moving on. We really got primarily draft motions. We'll move to the committee of the whole meeting. Let's see, Commissioner Schneider, do you want to do the honor going through that?
Very back of your agenda, 2 pages of the draft motions from March 31st committee of the whole meeting. And I will move motions 1 through 4 on first page.
One question, do we need to do a roll call on the senior village?
I do not believe so.
How about if we do a roll call on that? Sort of make a motion, would you agree?
The full,
So it'll be 1 through 3?
the full motion 3 for a roll call, so I'll move 1, 2, and 4.
Okay, 1, 2, and 4. Any discussion? Wait, did we get a second?
Yes.
Okay, what's the second? Okay, seeing no further discussion, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Okay, back to motion 3. You move it,
Yeah, move it.
support Jarvis. Okay, any discussion, significant thing here to put on the ballot for the people to decide on whether they wish to increase funding for our senior citizen services. Primary goal is to keep seniors in their home as much as possible and otherwise provide services as needed. Primarily those go to our county health department. Okay, any further discussion?
Do we know who's gonna capture this yet? Do we have any idea?
No, that's why that general language was used.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure if we had any notifications yet on that.
I don't know if a letter has gone out yet. Has a letter,
Could not hear, I'm sorry. Doreen wanted to know if you wanted her to fax those out today, the letters. Yes?
yeah, we're going to fax out the letter for the various units of government to state that they will not capture.
Okay.
Doreen will do that. Okay, then if we could call roll on that.
Commissioner Schneider,
Yes?
Commissioner Zender,
Yes.
Commissioner Jarvis,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Henry.
Yes. Okay, then moving on, page 2.
Page 2, that's motions 5, 6, and 7, and I will move those.
Okay, we have a motion and support. Questions about, I've got two motions, 6 and 7, I guess I've got questions on. We were going to have those reviewed by our corporate counsel, and I do not believe that occurred.
So I have an update from Lieutenant Beebe. Mr. Miller has the contracts in his possession. They have been, or they're under review right now. Mr. Miller is out of office right now. He'll be returning here at the beginning of the week. So he has looked at them. Their corrections have been made. Revisions have been made to it. And so I assume that the finalized copy will be prepared by our next board meeting.
So the motion perhaps could be to move them on to the next committee of the whole with authority.
Certain,
So,
the motion maker would be fine with pulling 6 and 7, we'll just make a separate motion for that.
okay, so right now we're doing motion 5. We have, make a second, who was, I'm not sure who made that second. Commissioner Jarvis, you're okay with the change? Then with a motion for number 5, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no.
And based on the comments, I'll move motions 6 and 7 to next week's committee of the whole with authority to act.
Motion and second, discussion.
Sheriff, just for your information, that discussion involved a corporate counsel trying to add standard language that we use for the health clause in there. And then if that becomes a problem with the other contracting side, then you can always bring it back to the board.
No, that's perfect. And I was familiar with it, so I knew that John was doing that part. So to move it is totally fine. Thank you.
Okay. All those people in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Okay. And moving on, personnel, so where we have actually 2 motions, but we'll take one at a time.
Okay, so on the very back page of your agenda is the first motion. That was from March 31st Personnel Committee meeting, and it's to fill 1 regular part-time paraprofessional position in the Stepping Stone program due to a resignation that was effective February 3rd, 2022, and to authorize any subsequent vacancy to be filled if an internal transfer occurs.
That's motion, support, and support. Discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no.
And then
The second,
second personnel motion was from a emergency personnel committee meeting that we had earlier today, and that was due to parks being short, or we've already been short anyways with a lot of the different facility needs that we've had going on, and now we're going to have one of our members go on medical leave for 12 weeks. Even when that individual comes back, there's still a need to implement a lot of the improvements that we've been trying to make throughout our facilities. And then the park season being in full swing. John and Clinton have been working with community mental health and some of our local partners on the park's staffing issue. And one of those involved us making sure that we have someone in place that manages at the parks a lot of our facilities needs so that attention can be devoted to the teamwork's assistance that we have there. So it's basically a 2-pronged problem. One was long-term, having the staffing that we needed. The second one was having this immediate shortage of vacancy during a time when we're trying to get the parks up and running. So we appreciate the problem solving that came back, including we appreciate CMH and you guys' assistance with trying to come up with a win-win situation. So this motion is to amend the table of organization for the Buildings and Grounds Parks Department to add 1 additional full-time maintenance worker position to be filled immediately to cover the staff member shortage on family medical leave, with the understanding that that position will then, after that leave, be partially funded 50% by community mental health. And so they'll be able to share in that position and do cost sharing as well. With the salary, the fringes, the full thing, our overall budgetary annual expense for that position, our 50% would be probably, it's estimated to be around 40,000, maybe just a little bit less. And there'll be some significant savings coming. In fact, that we'll have an extra person on board. We'll be able to terminate the snow removal contract and save ourselves about $12,000 to $15,000 just based on that alone. Administration and the parks recommendation to us was that they'll be able to make significant savings with this position, and anything additional that we have to take during this budget year coming out of contingencies, we anticipate long run that this is going to be a win-win situation for this cost share with community mental health. So it's our pleasure to recognize the teamwork involved here and to make this motion to solve an immediate problem as well as a long-term staffing problem. So with that explanation, I'll move motion one.
Okay. Baker, second. Miller, Commissioner Miller. Okay, discussion of this position due to a couple board members. A quick question for administration. Will this be a new number or is this going to be a number?
Be a new number.
Okay, because there's one, I know that there's at least one parks position that remains unfilled.
I think a long time ago, we eliminated all those parks positions.
Okay.
And remember, we thought we had an extra building and grounds that wasn't, that's actually filled with that parks guy.
Okay. So we don't.
It is a new position. We don't have it.
We don't need a job description because it's standard maintenance position for which we already have.
Yes.
Okay. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Thank you. I think that, John, hopefully that's going to help.
Thank you, guys.
We know it's going to be busy. Okay. Looking at my agenda, we're back to public time, and I would include in any department heads that may have missed the beginning section where they reported. Oh, try again. Thank you. Mr. Snyder, help me out there. We do have some audits.
So I will move in front of you the road commission's audit motion for checks dated April 7th, 2022, and the county's audit motion for checks dated April 8th, 2022 with the controller's signature.
Discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Okay, just to be sure I don't jump over, is there any administration announcement that would be made or any fiscal discussion that we need?
No, I would just like to make a general announcement to the board and to the public that are here today. On Wednesday, May 18th at noon, Lapeer County will host its first State of the County address at the Lapeer Country Club. That's at 3786 Hunt Road. This is in cooperation with Lapeer Development Corporation, who are helping us register for the event, taking in registrations. There is a registration fee because this will be a plated luncheon. So there is a cost to attend. Again, it is Wednesday, May 18th at noon. Should last about an hour and a half. We are thankful for ITC Holding Company to be the event sponsor, so there'll be no cost in that regard. And we have a full docket of networking, welcome messages. Lunch will be served for those who do attend. Each commissioner will have an opportunity to address their district, and then we'll have about 20 minutes or so of an actual address, where we're at, where we're going, and the challenges and hopeful successes that we'll see through our efforts. That'll all be addressed there. And then we'll have follow closing remarks, and we'll wrap everybody up, and it'll be about an hour and a half top to bottom. Okay.
You do need to register.
It is, you have to register for this one. There is seating capacity. Seating is limited. Again, Wednesday, May 18th at noon. Ms. Morley, I believe, has the information. There should be something in the paper to register, but this will also be found on our website, where you'll be able to see links to registration, okay? If anybody's interested. Thank you.
Nothing else from administration?
Not at this time.
All right, now back to the public and any department heads. I'm good. You're good, okay. Just a check.
I was here, but may I say something briefly?
Well, you would,
After the.
okay, let's do the public first.
We're good.
We'll weave you in, so.
Good morning.
Morning.
Jane Beckwith, Marathon Township. I reside right across the river from the special land use application that's being discussed and reviewed. I just wanted to add a little information from Carol Wynn that spoke earlier. I've actually looked up their website and looked at these, they're single room buildings is what they are. And Carol and Mark went and took pictures of another area, I believe it was Allegan County, of these buildings. And they're single, tiny little room buildings is what they are. And when you read the zoning law in that area, because it's, DNR, it's the state land issue, it does not qualify as a campground. This is not a campground. I just want to reiterate that. These are single room buildings that will be rented, and that falls under the definition of a motel. So I'm just very concerned about, I watch turkeys come across our yard. They cross the river, they go into that state land, deer, all kinds of wildlife. So please, just really look into it and please support this community. This is not a campground. These are, like I said, single room buildings that will be rented in right smack dab in the middle of two state land areas. So, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, other members of the public. Alan?
Just a reminder to the public, to the commissioners, to whoever might be listening over the net, we still have a war going on in Europe. On the 31st of March, Russia promised to open a humanitarian corridor in Ukraine. However, one of those towns has been under siege for several weeks, and citizens are reportedly running out of food, medicine, and other supplies. Although Russia's President Putin's regime made a promise, it doesn't seem that they kept it. According to a report by the Daily Mail, and then backed up also by the United Press International reporters over there, a Red Cross convoy with 45 buses was traveling from Mariupol to deliver aid to people when it was stopped by the Russian military in the town of Verdansk. The soldiers then allegedly looted the convoy, stealing 14 tons of medical supplies and food. The buses were planning to evacuate people stuck in the besieged city, but only 15 of those buses were released by the Russians to carry refugees back out of harm's way. News of the seized aid comes as other reports surface that Ukrainian officials are finding civilians allegedly tortured and murdered. Associated Press journalists in the city of Bucha reported seeing 21 dead bodies in the streets. 2 of those people had their hands tied behind their backs. From the terrified residents of Mariupol to the grieving families in Bucha, it's becoming clear that the war that Putin wants to classify as a peacekeeping mission has turned into something out of a horror film. Please keep both sides in your prayers. We need to pray for the ones that are doing the atrocities. We need to pray for the ones that are trying to defend their country, and for the people that are called upon to fight for Mother Russia and people, so their eyes can be opened, that this can stop, that we can stop and sit down at a table and talk and end the maiming, the killing, the injuries, and act like a civilized people once again.
Any other members of the public?
Yeah, I just had one question. Mr. Bishop, are you speaking at that event then? Are you giving the main address?
I will be at the event. I'll say a couple words.
Okay. And then the other thing, following Jane Beckwith, we were able, when we did go across the state and visit the other, I have photos, we were able to get a little bit of a background on the one that was, it's called Chicago Outpost, I think. But anyway, we were able to see the whole neighborhood over there. We also got a history of how that one was purchased. It's, the situations are completely different from what's over there to what's over here. They actually cleaned up that property from being an folks that work on, like the blueberries. Migrant, the migrant workers. So they actually cleaned up this, and if you saw the pictures, it's like so desolate what they've done. I mean, it's just, if you go by Doc Richardson's place now, and you see how beautiful that land is, and you can see what could happen there. It's just such, it's different, but we were able to talk to a neighbor, and she gave us quite an update on what was going on, and the whole neighborhood around this area is completely opposite of what we have out in Huntingville. We have farms and homesteads, and over there, it is literally trailers. What, you know, it went from a trailer to a mobile home to a manufacturer. These are trailers that are, it's not, and it's about by South Haven. But anyway, and then the other thing is, just driving around our township, Gretchen has not fixed the roads. No, not at all.
Any other members of the public? If not, then call on Kathy Haskins.
I apologize for missing this earlier, but during this, which is known as National Public Health Week, I just wanted to say that I hope that people can separate out the politics from the caring, responsible work that public health does, and acknowledge the hardworking staff that we have out at our agency that try to help ensure that our community is safer, from nurses to sanitarians to social workers to all the support staff and everyone else. But yeah, that was it. National Public Health Week.
Thank you. Then this is time we usually have commissioner reports. Commissioner Miller.
Yeah, I won't spend too much time this week, just on that last comment from Ms. Nguyen. Interestingly enough, the governor sent out this little blurb on social media. I don't know if anyone's seen it. You know, went everywhere on their campaign, but it said, look at all the things we accomplished together. It said, boosting the economy and building a stronger workforce, prioritizing Michigan kids, cutting costs for Michigan hard Michigan workers, and moving dirt to fix the damn roads. That was the exact quote. That was kind of funny because, I mean, not only is that not really a list of accomplishments, it's just a list of campaign points, but I think it proves the point that we need to have different government in the state of Michigan this year. So just promote all of you, whoever your candidate's going to be in the primary, work hard for them, get something done. Also, I would encourage people going to convention to take a good look at all the candidates and make the right choice that's going to actually win. Because while we all could certainly like to have idealized candidates, at the same time, if we choose a candidate who we know is not going to win just because it fits an ideal, we're going to lose that position. And if we do win other positions, that one position is going to be a real pain in the neck for others. So just keep that in mind. The other thing I just wanted to, throw out there, it was brought up about Ukraine. I think, unfortunately, we have seen now the true cost of war. I know a lot of people in this country and a lot of people in general sometimes idealize it, make it into something honorable even. And while it certainly can be in certain cases, I think we sometimes forget the human cost of life. And the only thing I'll throw out there and say is it's interesting how we choose to, have all this knowledge on Ukraine, yet many people don't even know that only 20 years ago, we had a war that took place in Africa that killed nearly 2 million people. Most people aren't even aware of it. And it just happened all underneath everyone's noses. So while we keep this in mind, just keep in mind all the violence that take place across the world, and pray for peace for sure. So that's all.
Good point. Commissioner Center, jump to you. Any reports?
I guess I just to comment, Carolyn and the other ladies' comments on this campground, tiny house community. I'm not sure what they're billing it as, but definitely make sure that you go to your local planning commission, your local township meetings. Those are the people that have control over whether that gets approved or not. So just keep that in mind. And they should have their master plan. All communities have a master plan. Make sure that it's fitting that plan. Those are the local government controls that they have to allow or not allow a project to come forth. So that's all I have.
Just a couple of things. There was a senior programs advisory board meeting, and I have copies of the director's report, which Nancy is right on top of things. She's giving us numbers of patients served, the amounts that have been coming in for donations to that they asked for. And also, if anybody's interested in the responsible gaming agreement that the health department came up with, everything's going smoothly right now. So the other thing I have was Dryden community. The fire department is having a dueling piano benefit at the Dryden bar on Saturday, April 9th at 9 p.m. The cost is $25. And the proceeds will go to the fire department for getting smoke detectors for Dryden residents.
Couple things, I guess. Reminder to Republicans, elected Republicans, are part of the call to the convention. It's Monday night, the 11th. So hopefully you're available. You'll get there to select delegates. That's at the fairgrounds, 7 p.m. I believe. Let's see, I wanted to mention the auction, which is has a detailed flyer now. I think I passed it to the commissioners, to the members of the audience. If you haven't seen an idea of what the flyer is like, it's on the back table. Again, we are looking for donors and bidders still for each auction. And I guess the last thing I'd mention, just personal note to people, we've got Palm Sunday coming up, Easter not far behind. I encourage all of those who are Christians to make it to their church. And we had a talk earlier about how some areas it's been hard to worship. we have that opportunity here, and I encourage everybody who is Christian to take advantage of it and get to your church. Is that any motion to adjourn? Support? For adjourn.